Ladies and gentlemen, welcome you to the 60th Krakow Film Festival, another screening, the competition screening of short films. We have a wonderful bunch of filmmakers. I'm really happy to welcome you. My name is Dagmara Romanowska and I am a short film curator, so even I am more happier to have you here. And well, I'm kind of sad that we don't have you in Krakow in front of a cinema screen, but at least on Zoom. I will introduce you, and if you could kind of wave perhaps that I'm talking about the right person so the viewers know who's there. So I'll kind of go like from the windows I can see. So we have Konstantin Brączyk with us, the author of the film He Can't Live Without Cosmos. Hi, from St. Petersburg.
Hi everybody.
We have Tessa Hoffer from the UK, the author of the film Majority.
Hi there.
We have Suzanne Sanchez. Sorry. We have Suzanne Kraus and Ramon Sanchez Orense, a second family filmmakers to a bunch of you. We have Patrice Müller, the author of Depot Asmara. There you are.
Hello.
Hi. And we have Jakub Chedy, the author There Is No Shooting in Kiev. Hi.
Hi.
Hi. So we have St. Petersburg, Berlin, Prague, somewhere in the UK, yes. So
I'm in Manchester.
Manchester, so a whole bunch. Guys, we don't have that much time, and a whole set of wonderful yet different films. I guess I would like to have this one question for all of you about how the project started. What was the inspiration? What was the kind of the first impulse to tell the story? We have like animation, and we have feature, and we have documentary films. Perhaps the animation is the only animation in the set. Konstantin, because you continue telling the story about Cosmos. First it was we can't live without Cosmos, and now he can't live without Cosmos.
Absolutely, yes. No, that's strange. You remember that film? Oh, but there is no connection between films. Really, just title. No, it's absolutely different story, and absolutely different message. That's no connection.
But so how did it start with He Can't Live Without Cosmos?
You know, all my life I hear this strange word inspiration. But I don't understand what it is really, because I never feel something like that. For me, film always it's like alien, which is inside of me, and if I don't let him come out, I will die. It has nothing to do with inspiration. You see. That's all.
Then you said, I have just ahead of the meeting, I have noticed that you have this T-shirt with Cosmos.
It's NASA, yeah, but it's again, it's nothing, no connection with film. Not just like in shop, it's this stuff. That's all. It's bright, it's white, nothing.
And you like it, like the subject.
It's accidental.
Oh. But there might be Cosmos calling you. Patrice Müller, I know it was really difficult for you to find this time today. So now your inspirations. I know that Africa is a place that you know very well, and now another story there.
Yeah, so Depot Asmara is a documentary film which we shot in Eritrea. I have never thought I would ever go there, but with my last film, which also where we traveled on trains a lot, so trains is a motive that reappears in my movies. We were at a film festival, and the guy told us about this old steam train in Eritrea that Mussolini built there. And there are still these old people working with the train. And so I left the film festival, and I could never, this image, I couldn't leave, I couldn't forget. So it was stuck in my head, and I had to, and I said, no, I need to find out. I need to find out what happened there. So we started to find a solution to get there, because it's not that easy to travel with a camera to Eritrea. So so this was the inspiration how everything happened.
That's amazing. I love one scene of the film. I mean, I love the whole idea, and I would really love to go there and try, you know, ride by this train and to see those amazing views. But while I was watching it, at the end there is this scene about the workers talking about what time it is, like it's 4 o'clock, 1:15, and it kind of reminded me of Al Pacino in Martin Scorsese's latest film, when they quarrel about how much late you can be, like 1/4, and your scene is so much better, so much better. So I mean, amazing.
That is a compliment.
Stick to Africa then, because there is another, then we have like an older generation with Dagmara, and then in a second family there is a young generation and hope of people. And I don't know if it's Ramon or Suzanne, which of you would like to tell us something about how the project started? How did you find this school and basketball deaf players? And Ramon or Suzanne?
Yeah, well, I can start. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, well, we live there in Goma, which is a city in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And Susanna and myself were kind of tired of, you know, the stories that being produced there in Goma. Normally they are about war, about, you know, violence, hunger. So we wanted to tell a positive story. Wanted to tell a story about normal daily life, you know, as you said, hope, youth people, sports. That's where we found the inspiration. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I can add that to me that's something very important because Goma and the east of DRC has a very specific stigma and a very specific picture that is told worldwide, especially in the West. And it sometimes forgets that lots of people, like thousands, hundreds of people, just live a normal life in Goma. And that's very different to what we see in the media or sometimes even in films. So it was a very specific decision to tell a normal life story. And we got in touch with these basketball players. We met them several times, and we came across this young girl, Amina, who had the dream of having the first basketball team of deaf players in Goma. And we were directly inspired by her motivation and her eagerness and her dedication to train this team. And yeah, that's how we came up. We met, we said, that's our story, let's film.
This is so wonderful that, like in both of your films, that you show this different picture of Africa, because as Suzanne, as you said, when we turn on television, if there is Africa at all on the news in Europe, we keep on seeing like only the problems, and that we see Africa as a very, I don't know, undeveloped country, poor, well, not country, continent, and we forget about that people do lead a normal life. They do have difficulties, like we have difficulties in Europe, a different kind of, but there's not only war and poverty, there are some other things that are happening and the changes. Patrice?
That's why I'm very, very happy that the film at least run on an online festival now, but at least people can see it now, because this project was completely financed independent, no TV station with it, nothing. There is not really an interest or a slot in German TV where we can see these stories. So, and it is, this film, Depot Asmara, for instance, it shows such a microcosm in a country, Eritrea, where we hardly get images from. And if we get images, it's of war and people fleeing and stuff, but people live lives there, and it's such a beautiful country. Like, nobody knows that. Amazing. Plus, I mean, we cannot. Of course, we cannot forget politics and but still, it's people live there.
Of course. of course. And Jakub, you went from Czech Republic to Ukraine to show also how the life looks after the war, or when the war is happening, like in the background. And what brought you, first of all, what brought you from the Czech Republic to the Ukraine, and what inspired you to tell us about the life of, you know, people who were somehow touched by the war, some literally like ex-soldiers, and this is like a whole bunch of people. What brought you there?
Yeah, I think it was like two reasons. One reason was, you know, the Czech Republic is quite close to Ukraine, not as close, but it's not so far. So we have the Ukrainians. It's one of the biggest minority in the Czech Republic. They usually work here on the like low classes positions. And I when the war started, I realized I don't even know like the people, you know, how they think, what they feel in the Czech Republic, how is their country. So it was one reason. And second reason was the friend of mine. He is the radio reporter, and he spent several months on the east of Ukraine in the war zone. He was kind of war reporter. Martin Ocknech, he also worked on this project with me. And when we spoke about it, we decided it's kind of important to see how the people live in the country, which is so close to Czech Republic, and how is to live like in the country where is the war. It was something for me. I couldn't imagine if the Czech Republic would be in the war, how what would change for me. And Ukraine is not such exotic and different country, so I was interested what could maybe change also in Czech, what could be like some kind maybe of, I don't know, inspiration. It's not inspiration, but yeah, you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. I mean, in Poland we have also a huge majority sort of Ukrainians working, and I think it can be very, very relevant to see in Poland, in Krakow, why those people come here and what is the situation. I was wondering, how did you choose the characters that you talk with? Was there some key that you kind of...
Yeah, we had like two researches before the shooting. It's maybe good to say we were totally independent. We hadn't budget for it, and it was why we decided to make it short after. But after these two researches, we decided to show not just one character and follow him like through whole movie, but what I was interested, it was try to show kind of travelogy in several like small microcosms of several people. And key was that they kind of they have to do something what the state or the government cannot do for them, but the government should do it. I was so surprised that for example former veterans had to help themselves, and they decided to make their pizza restaurant and make it kind of social project. You know, they work with the veterans, they try to get money for it, and it was something which I was interested in the first researches, and I decided I have to find more kind of communities in this way.
Mm-hmm. This is really interesting, the restaurant. I mean, all of the characters are amazing to see, and how they lead their life. Sorry for keep you waiting so long. The only fiction film, well, one animation and one fiction film in this set of the competition. And while I was watching your film, I thought that the character could also come from Poland to the UK to work with this elderly estate. I was wondering how did you come up with? I know that in the UK the Polish and Hungarian community is quite big. So how did you come up with this idea, with this story? Yeah.
I came up with there was a few things. One of them was when I went to pick up my son from school one day. One of the other mothers had just come from a meeting where her grandfather was in sheltered accommodation, and she told me about this meeting where they were all trying to get one of the residents to leave, that it got out of hand. And I just, like Beatrice was talking about her brain, I kept thinking about this meeting and with what was going on in the UK with Brexit and a whole lot of other stuff. And then I had another friend of mine who was going through an issue at work where someone had complained about her. She didn't know who it was, and she was being quite upset by it and trying to figure out who this person was. And then I am a single parent. I'm an immigrant here. I'm not English. I'm from New Zealand. And all of those elements are all within the film. They're all there. It's a bit of me. It's a bit of what I see. It's to do with other situations that I come across, and it's all involved in the same story.
It's very, I think that you show a lot of why Brexit is happening or has happened, and kind of, and now with pandemics, I guess it also, you show that those who came, they are doing all the tough work, and yet they are treated as strangers or somebody who could be pushed a little bit. And your character knows English perfectly. She goes by the rules that are introduced in the accommodation estate, but still she's this one that you could kind of blame, point at, etc. So it's quite there is a lot of, it's funny at moments, but the social background is very strong, and in those 15 minutes you tell really a lot.
Yeah, I think for me as a full-time single parent and as someone who's not from here, all of those elements apply. Probably not as strongly to me being a New Zealander, but I certainly have come across some of those things, you know, and talking to other people and so forth. And I went to different sheltered accommodation and talked to residents about how they felt about living there and their situations. And it's become, you know, this tiny community has just become so isolated, and it sort of speaks for a bigger community in a way.
Konstantin, I'd like to get back to you, and a more general question, like for all of you, what were the challenges of the projects you were working on? And Konstantin, for you especially, because this is not only an anecdote about cosmos, I see a lot of metaphor in there, in the film, and that it's a story about growing up and growing apart from your parents, and you can go deeper and deeper and deeper. There's really this is kind of like a philosophical film, I would say. What were the challenges of working on such a project that it is, you know, fun to watch but very deep at the same time, and drawing all of it as well?
Dagmara, animation is always for us challenge. One big challenge. The main challenge for me, it was 15 minutes long film. I took 3 years of making it of my life. 3 years, guys. It's incredible. I hate my profession. That's a big challenge. I envy all of you guys. You make other stuff. It's more quickly, more easy for me. It seems to me. Sorry. It's animation. Yes, you asked about anecdote. By the way, everybody. In my experience, there is one big anecdote about my job. There is no anecdote at all. It's always routine making of things for me. Routine of productions. You know, it's like my film is ready, but it's left to shoot it. Yeah, somebody told. That's all.
And a lot of patience, and like you said, 3 years working and drawing, and then editing it with the music, I guess, also because animations, and definitely your animation has the rhythm connected with the music. This is always what I notice with animation.
Yeah, rhythm, how to work without rhythm. Every director makes rhythm as he feels, as he think how it must be read. It's the way of making films, usual thing, nothing special, really. Yes, the rhythm is the rhythm.
You treat it as if it was that easy. It's not. It's not. It's a very difficult routine, I guess.
It's difficult routine. That's why it's routine. Yes.
Beatrice, and Africa challenges. You mentioned some of the problems even getting there to Eritrea and going there with camera. Any other challenges or anecdotes that happened during the filming?
Look, I started researching if there is a travel agency that can bring you there, and by accident I found a company in Berlin that is specialized on train trips. They bring people around the world to special trains. So there's a big community in the world, kind of train spotters, who travel to see different trains in different countries and to take photos. And I didn't know that. It's amazing.
There is hope for us to go there then, to find your company.
They even travel to North Korea to.
Wow.
It's amazing. Like if somebody needs the information, I can give them to you. Anyhow, so we contacted Bernd Seiler, who is the owner of the company, and he regularly travels to Eritrea to take tourists to this train. And he really loved the project, what we wanted to do, and he really supported us a lot. With getting visas, getting permission to shoot there, getting us there, and that's how it happened. We traveled with train spotting people to Eritrea. That's how we ended up there.
Mm.
And that sounds like a completely different film.
You're right.
I'd quite like to see that film.
Yeah, we actually. We produced on our way there, and while we were there, we produced a lot of radio material for German radio, and also one piece was about train spotters traveling around the world. But yeah, it is another film to follow train spotters around the world.
It is. Another African challenges that you had, a second family, Suzanne and Ramon. This is your film is very visual. I mean, there is the basketball, and what I notice about it, the split screen and all the shootings, like from down up, and this is very dynamic story. Well, what I've noticed, but I was wondering if the visuals were the challenge, or talking with the characters, or anything else.
Yeah, well, for us, I think one of the biggest challenges we had was at the beginning to shape the story, because we had a place where we wanted to shoot this basketball academy in the middle of Goma, but we needed to find the story. So we did the research, we talked with many people until we were lucky to find Amina. And I think at the time she was the only female coach in the academy. So we met her. She told us her story, and then immediately we realized that okay, that's the story we wanted to tell. And of course, because another challenge was how to visually communicate the story of this deaf team. So we wanted to work on the sound and on the visual aspect of the documentary to transmit that handicap of our characters. Yeah, maybe Suzanne can continue.
can maybe add one anecdote. When we had a second day of filming, when we wanted to shoot a few pictures of daily life of traffic in Goma. And traffic itself in Goma is an experience because it's quite chaotic, and you have tons of motorbikes and cars and buses going a bit their own way, so you never know who goes next, right or left. We were standing there with a local camera woman, and we're filming just a few shots of the traffic when suddenly one of the minibuses hit her camera, and for a second we thought it would be crushed, but luckily she could, like, in the last second grab it and keep it in her hands. And we were discussing just before the interview with Ramon that this was actually a key moment that we wanted to then include into the film, just to tell a little bit this aspect of how crazy sometimes life in Goma is. So instead of saying, dang, this didn't work, let's film again, we decided this scene will be in the film.
Mm-hmm. And Jakob, filming in Ukraine in the middle of winter, because those were winter shooting, and but perhaps that wasn't the challenge. What were the biggest difficulties of your project?
Yeah, I think it's not so about filmmaker, but it was the budget, you know, because the topic I decided to follow, it wasn't about one character, and it was hard to explain that this kind of film can work on the like 1 hour of length. And we tried to get money for it about, I don't know, during the whole process almost, but then we decided let's do short. Even I think the topic is interesting, and I know what we would like to do in the like whole footage, but and with the budget was connected some other problems because of the language and translations. So it would be like impossible in like kind of independent way to do like the longer form. So I think this was the biggest challenge for us, like to don't lose the enthusiasm for.
Beatrice, you want to add something?
The budget is always the problem. We took 7 years. We took 7 years to finish the film, to finish this film, because there was no budget.
And Tessa, your challenges apart from the budget, I know for independent filmmakers, short film filmmakers, budget is like the worst nightmare to get.
Yeah, look, I was fortunate. My previous film I funded myself, and it had a successful festival run, and so this time I was able to get some money. So it's not a lot of money, but I had previously won a camera hire package from a festival from my previous film. So all of those things kind of helped get this project made. Listening to the other filmmakers, I mean, my film, we shot this like 10 minutes from where I live. So it wasn't really, I didn't go through those same kind of hardships. We had a rehearsal. I was able to get the actors together, the older actors.
Sorry to interrupt you. Are they all actors in your film, or there are non-actors as well? Because
they are all professional actors.
Wow.
Yeah, so they all have quite long-standing careers. Maria Popestasou, I brought her over from Romania, and so the only non-actor is the child, who is my son, and so he is in the film because I don't have a babysitter, so he has to be in it. And it's the second film I've made with him, so and it's pure really because I have to bring him along with me. So I just put him in the film and get him to do something, and then hopefully we use it.
Okay, so
and we did. It worked very well.
Like your character, like you said, there is a lot of personal in there. We are running a little bit of time, so my last question would be, are you working on something new now? Tessa, perhaps I will start with you this time, the other direction.
Yeah, I have a feature film in development with the BFI here, so I'm working on that. I'm writing that. all of my films are sort of rooted in social realism, and this is the same. It's about immigrants in the UK, and their stories all intertwining together. So yes, I'm working on that at the minute.
Fingers crossed. And Jakub?
Actually, I'm in the type of like bigger researches, but I want to do something about environmental things and how to keep the water in the landscape. Yeah, but I'm still very interested in the like communities and in the energy which comes from like from people, and I would like to follow it in Czech Republic now. So
now at home, I mean, the characters, this is so powerful because of the characters that you come to talk with. And Suzanne and Ramon, your new project, also somewhere there in Africa or closer to home?
Not for me. I'm based in Spain right now, so I'm working on projects here in Spain, more topics related to here. Yeah, but I think Susanna is
still in Rwanda, so country next door to Congo. And right now I'm pitching a film. I would like to continue with documentaries. I would like to do something about the future of drones in Africa, which are spearheading here in Rwanda. So blood is delivered by drones. Drones are said to have a big future in Africa, and I would like to follow that story and develop a bit what kind of future does it actually have.
Beatrice?
I had a little baby girl in December, so I'm working on that she grows up. I'm working on giving milk.
The most important project. And Konstantin, any routine work for you going on right now?
My personal project is which I want to implement is to stop making movies.
Oh no, please don't.
I explained, just because the life is too rich, it seems to me it's too rich in its diversity to spend it only on movies. That's all.
Oh no. I don't like this project. I'm looking for another. I'm looking for your other story, cosmic or non-cosmic, whatever comes to you, because.
Okay.
So kind of, I don't wish for you not to make movies anymore. Guys, thank you so much for coming. I so wish so much we were all able to meet in Krakow. So perhaps next year or in 2 years' time also, I hope it will be possible, and we will meet in reality, not on a Zoom meeting. But thank you so much that you made it and came to this meeting. Once again, Konstantin Bronzit, Beatrice Müller, Suzanne Kraus, Tessa Hoffe, Jakub Czedy, and Ramon Orense.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.